Much better day overall, both sides. I thought we looked like closer to being a complete football team today. Made good amount of strides this week. Proud of them. Thought we let that go by. Proud of how our guys prepared this week. I thought they did a much better job getting ready to play. We're getting better. Still a long ways to go. Next week is really critical for us as far as our development goes as a football team. We got to get a lot of things done leading into the summer. These are some guys I thought had good days, and we can talk more about them. But Derek Pitts he's had a really solid last 4 or 5 practices. Practicing with a lot of energy. He's made a bunch of plays. Had a pick today. Dante Stills was really active. I think he's starting to get a feel for our movements up front. Austin continues to show. You know, I think he's shown the best knack for pass rush that we have. Josh Chandler is a guy that I've mentioned a lot. He's continued to make plays. I think he's starting to, and he's one of our best guys as far as preparing themselves mentally going into practice. Akeem Bailey the last 2 days, really excited about him, not only on defense but special teams wise. Sean Mahone had his best week. You know, listen to the strength staff and everybody, maybe in a long time. I mean, one of our leaders on special teams. We give him an award, call it the Game Changer, and he was the Game Changer of the day on Thursday. Tonkery we limited his snaps, but he made several tackles in the run game early. Vandarius, he did some really good things. He showed today, like his talent showed today. That was good to see. And then Josh Abbott, last guy defensively, he's made big strides, you know, not only on special teams, you know, we kind of expect that from him on special teams, but really the last 3 practices he's shown up on defense. He's got a good understanding of what we're doing. Offensively, I thought 3 of the running backs, McCoy didn't go as much today, but Petaway had some really physical runs. He missed one early in the scrimmage, but came back, learned from it, had some physical runs in our short yardage goal line sessions. Letty Brown, 2 days in a row, has shown that he's physical. He scored a couple times today. Sinkfield is a guy that we got in space today, and he showed some things. He's been great on special teams, too. I think he's going to be really one of our top guys on special teams. Trent Jackson threw some nice balls today, threw the ball down the field. And Dylan Spalding and Randy Fields, they both made some plays with Trent throwing the ball, so that was positive. Sam James continued. I think he's had as good a spring as anybody at our receiver position. He made a couple downfield plays, and then up front, McKivitz played well. Sills came back, practiced today, and on a limited basis, but when he did practice, I thought he did some really good things, and we're much better when he's in there, just with his experience and those type of things. So with that, questions?
Notice you mentioned defense. Is that just normal that you do that? Or?
Yeah, I try to do that all the time since I'm an offensive guy, so y'all won't give me a hard time.
So it's not with the defense?
No, you're not.
Gotcha.
Neal, you mentioned Derek Pitts. Just wondering, could you get maybe a little more specific on him and what you've seen out of him the whole spring?
Yeah, well, first of all, the thing that sticks out to me is he loves to play. Plays the game with great energy. All right, he's physical. All right, he's got to continue to gain weight so he can play that way over the course of a 12, 13 game season, 14 game season. But a lot of energy. The thing that I think he's made improvements on is his study habits have been better. He's preparing better. Knows what to do. He's getting a feel. Little things like alignments. His pedal, things like that. He's reading through his keys, but pleased with him.
Is there something to be said for him having played some corner and some safety the last 2 years as far as coverage? That maybe.
Well, he does a nice job in coverage because that's kind of how he's built. I think the best thing that we've done is, you know, and that's our defensive staff has just kept him in one spot. And we talked about, you know, hey, do we want to use him in certain packages and things like that? And for me, it's like, hey, he's starting to get in a groove. Let's leave him at that one spot at safety, and let's get him as many reps as possible. And that's what we've done. And you can see him steadily getting better.
How was the run blocking?
Better.
Yeah.
Better. Only one way up from last week though. So, but no, we were steady better. The biggest thing is what you don't want to see is you don't want to see negative runs, and that's something we did last week. We had several negative runs. This week we came out and the running backs got to the line of scrimmage. And if we get the running backs to the line of scrimmage, we got enough talent where we should have positive plays. But our run blocking has been better this week. It's not easy, you know. Defensively, we do some really good things against spread run teams. I think that cancel out some gaps. But it's frustrating in the spring, but it's a good thing once we get into the fall because we've seen a bunch of different looks and we're able to block them up.
Some of that a product of the work you did last week, getting more guys together and cohesiveness a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You know, the thing too today is Sills was out there. You know, when we play Sills on one side and Colton at the other side, there's a good amount of leadership there. And I think guys like Bryson Mays, Mike Brown, Chase, we're playing him some at center. So those guys, the more reps they get, the better they're going to get.
You mentioned safeties pretty frequently throughout the spring. Are the corners at the same spot as those guys? Or
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of experience out there. I didn't mention Norwood today, but Norwood's is probably as competitive as anybody we have on our football team. I think the secondary kind of feeds off his energy. He and Pitts' energy. But the corners have done a nice job. They didn't make as many plays on the ball today as maybe they have in some other spring practices. I mentioned Bailey. I think Bailey is getting better. Keith Washington practiced a little bit limited today. But I think our corners, we've got to get some younger guys in here. We've got a lot of seniors at that position, so we got to get some younger guys ready.
So you mentioned one quarterback.
Yep, he threw the best balls down the field today. Trent did. So we've got to get better at quarterback. We're too up and down at quarterback right now. We have some things that we do really, really well. And our best plays today were really good. But what happens is at quarterback, you're only as good as your bad plays. And our bad plays today were really bad. I mean, stuff that would get you beat. And what you're trying to do at quarterback is you want your bad plays just to be second down or just to be, hey, you go punt the ball. Does that make sense? And our bad plays were too bad today. But the three guys that I didn't mention, they're doing some good things. Trent made the most plays throwing down the field today, so I mentioned him.
That's kind of to be expected at this time of year, though, with a new guy in here and,
Well, if you look at it, if you look at offensively at us, if you look at us across the board, with what's practicing right now, is a lot of new people playing. So while a lot of the things we're doing are similar from a scheme standpoint, but not only from a production standpoint, those guys on offense gone, all right, but also kind of the leadership in that room. So a lot of moving pieces offensively, and we're trying to install the whole offense. As we go through the spring. We cut back a little bit today, but we're trying to install the whole offense. And the reason doing that, just so they'll have some pieces that they continue to grow over the summer. But when you do that, it's difficult because each day you're kind of adding things where once you get into the season, you're practicing the same thing Sunday on through, And so what we're asking them to do right now, as crazy as it sounds, is actually harder to play offensive football in spring than it is actually during the season.
How much is that as a product of the competition and evaluating the competition as opposed to getting the reps with the guys?
Yeah, well, I think at quarterback it is absolutely critical that there's got to be some continuity. Yeah. And we're repping 3, sometimes 4 guys right now, and it's tough. It is tough. It's and as a quarterback, it's hard to get in a rhythm when you go a series, sit a series, go, and so there is some of that, and that's to be expected. I'm not down about the quarterbacks right now. Do I wish we were playing as good as we possibly could? Yes. Are we about where I thought we would be? Yes.
But you have to be by March. You got to be ready now.
Yeah. When we get done with spring practice, we're going to be 0-0.
Who do you like in the Final Four tonight?
Huh?
Who do you like in the Final Four tonight?
Who do I like in the Final Four? That's a good question. I got to go with the Big 12. I like Chris Beard a lot. We were together at Tech together. So I'll stick with the Big 12.
You mentioned downfield passing a bunch. If that's been successful for you. I'm assuming you're catching short stuff, but that seems to be what you.
Yeah. So today we tried to force the ball downfield. That was one of the things that point of emphasis coming down, and really I thought our first defense really defended those balls really well. Sam James made one down the field. We dropped one offensively down the field, but the 2s and the 3s made several plays down the field.
Any touchdowns? Did you mention that?
Yeah, it was all situational. We got after it pretty good today. So we approximately had 60 plays with the 1s, 60 plays with the 2s. 3s got about 15 or 20 snaps. So we got after it pretty good. We didn't want anybody to have more than about 55 snaps, and that's kind of the way it worked out, just because you rotate with your 1s, But this was probably our most intense scrimmage that we'll have all spring, and that's the way we advertised it to our guys. And we were out here for right at 2 hours, and it was physical. We did a lot of situations played opening drive first half, opening drive second half. We played a coming off series. We played a goal line. We played a red zone. We did a third down period. We did a short yardage period, 2 minute into game, into half. So we did a lot of different things.
Who did
One more
Trent
question.
rep with today?
He repped with the 2s and the 3s.
And health-wise, things are pretty good. You're getting guys
Yeah,
back.
Kennedy held him a little bit. He rolled his ankle a little bit. Nothing serious, I don't think. I don't think anybody else. I think everybody else practiced. Yeah. So. in good
Okay.
shape.
Thank you, Coach.